Well, it turns out there may be a good reason why those secret side deals in the Iranian nuclear deal were secret. A new report claims Iran will be inspecting one of its key sites by itself, not with international inspectors. Now, some here say this new revelation just revealed why we need to kill this deal once and for all. Are they right? Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Asman. This is Forbes on Fox. Let's go in focus with Steve Forbes himself, Mike Ozanian, John Tamny, along with Kerry Sheffield and Bruce Japsen. Steve, isn't this a deal breaker?
It should be a deal breaker. If it wasn't for misplaced party loyalty, it would be. This is like having Animal House do their own sobriety tests or kids grading their own papers. And even if this deal is adhered to, Iran's going to become a nuclear power. We've already seen, Dave, with North Korea, what happens if you don't have 24/7 access to those facilities. So this is just another element of an utter diplomatic disaster.
All right. Now, Bruce, we should mention this comes from an Associated Press report. They claim to have seen a draft copy of the deal, which says the following. One, Iran will provide to the IAEA, that's the International Atomic Energy Association, photos of the location. Iran will provide to the IAEA videos of the locations. Iran will provide environmental samples. Iran, we trust the Iranians to do this?
Well, no, but I would say that setting aside the fact that the AP story has been scrubbed a lot, so there are issues with that, I would say that we have a second.
They stand by their story. Go ahead.
The news story, there's a multinational coalition, this is what people need to know, that are going to be policing this accord, not just the U.S., but several countries. And also the site involved here has been dormant for a decade. And I know that that's
not true. Bruce, I'm sorry to disagree with you, but that is absolutely not true. This site is an active military site.
But
Kerry, we have satellite pictures that show this is an active site. This is where they test out a lot of explosive devices. The IAEA tried to go into that site in 2005. They were denied permission to go to specific areas that need to be inspected. And now apparently it's the Iranians who are going to inspect that.
No, it's like asking a 3-year-old, did you eat that last cookie, and trusting them to answer correctly. I mean, it's impossible to take them seriously. We know this regime is murderous. We know they are funding terrorism throughout the entire Middle East. In Lebanon, we just got word that they are now backing people in Iraq. We know they're backing in Yemen. I mean, this is a murderous regime. We have absolutely no reason to trust them.
Well, Mike, to Bruce's point, the White House is denying all this. They have kind of a boilerplate denial. I'll put it up on the screen. There is no self-inspection of Iranian facilities, and the IAEA has in no way given responsibility for nuclear inspections to Iran. Notice they say nuclear inspections, not inspections of military bases. Not now, and certainly not in the future. Do you believe them?
No, because I watched a lot of Kerry's testimony on C-SPAN. The bottom line of this treaty, David, is President Obama is outsourcing the safety of the United States to all the terrorists in the United Nations, to Iran and to Russia and to China. That's the bottom line. And if you look at his overall strategy for defense for this country, it fits right into his overall strategy.
And John Tamny, it depends at this point, obviously, because there's so many secrets involved in this. Frankly, I don't know why they have to be secrets, why we can't see them. But it's a matter of who you trust, the administration denials or statements like the following from a former four-star general, Jack Keane, who was on Fox Business. Here's what he had to say about all this.
How could you possibly vote on the deal when the heart of it has to be verification, and we don't know what verification means by the organization that's actually doing the inspecting? Makes no sense.
And again, we deserve to know, don't we, John?
Well, yeah, you know, my longstanding view is why would we negotiate with irrelevant nations like Iran? It diminishes us, and then it needlessly elevates what we all seem to agree is a corrupt regime. Why would we expect them to abide by any agreement, no matter which president sets it up? All this means that they're going to cheat. It's going to diminish our stature globally and probably make us less safe in the process.
And, Steve, the polls are in. I mean, we're heading into an election year. We got a lot of election stuff going on. It matters what people think, what the voters think. Look at this. By a 75 to 18% margin, do you trust Iran to honor nuclear agreements? No. 75% say no. If you were in Congress, how would you vote on the Iranian nuclear deal? 58% would reject it.
Yes, and that's the sad thing, David, is that it only takes 1/3 of Congress to get this thing through instead of the traditional 2/3 by the Constitution.
Explain why that is.
Because they have an up and down vote. The president then vetoes that vote, and you need 2/3 to override that veto. This should have been treated like a treaty and to have 2/3 approval, or at least an up and down approval in both houses of Congress, and no presidential veto. And the Democrats who are supporting this thing, allowing this thing to go through, it's not just misplaced party loyalty, it's playing with the safety of the United States and Western civilization.
Bruce, I'll agree with you on one point, which is that there are a lot of questions about what the truth is in this matter. But isn't that a perfect reason as to why we need all this to be exposed? We, the public, need to know what we're getting into, don't we?
Well, to Steve's point, I mean, they are going to take this up in Congress, and the president just this week issued a letter to some potentially wavering Democrats on this to say that, you know, there's nothing preventing us from gradually bringing back sanctions. And I know we've talked a lot about sanctions on this show. So, I mean, it's going to... They're not gone.
Kerry, the fact is that the Europeans were dragged kicking and screaming to these sanctions. Now that they're essentially gone, or they've been telegraphed they're gone, the Europeans are not going to go back to the sanctions, right?
No, of course not. And this is a birthday gift with a big fat bow, or as Ted Cruz said, this is a stimulus package for jihadi terrorists. I mean, this is a gift. They are going to be able to enrich themselves with oil revenues. I mean, we are, as Steve said, we are risking Western civilization with this, and the Europeans don't seem to worry that they're going to be self-imploding.
And Mike, again, I get back to, I don't think I heard an answer from Bruce, and maybe, Bruce, I'll give you another chance on this, but why don't we have the right to take a look at these side deals, to decide for ourselves as citizens what we're getting into?
Because, David, the Obama administration's never going to do that, because the way it's been selling this has been a big lie, just like the way it's sold by Obamacare. Remember, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Right. Now they're trying to scare the American people by saying, you know what, the only other option to this is war. Well, you know what, it's funny. Up until this point, when they started coming out with this agreement, they never talked about war with Iran as being imminent. Now, all of a sudden, they're using that to scare the American people to get their support.
Bruce, I'm going to go back to you, because I didn't get an answer. As a journalist, as somebody who's interested in exposing all the truth that we can, that's our job. Aren't you interested? Wouldn't it solve a lot of these issues if they just revealed all of these secret deals?
I think you definitely have a point, but we have a Congress here, and we have rules that have been set up, and Steve just talked about them, where the Congress is going to examine this deal, and they're going to get an up or down vote on it. And you may not like the odds, but it's going to happen.
But, John, we have an administration that has broken all the rules. Now they care about the rules when they want to keep it secret.
Well, so yeah, if we think so little of the administration, why do we want them meddling in the Middle East to begin with? We're talking about sanctions. We're talking about risking Western civilization. When are we going to learn that if we had ignored the Castros decades ago, they would have been pushed out long ago? We elevated them. We do this in North Korea, and now we're going to elevate a corrupt regime like what's running Iran. Get out of this.
Well, Steve, isn't it clear that the one thing that could put a lot of this controversy to rest is if they open the books and show the people, not just Americans, but the people of the world, what they've signed on to?
Yeah, that's why they don't want to show it, because they know we'd throw up if we saw it.
That's pretty graphic stuff from Steve Forbes. Go ahead.
It's absolutely true. And when a country may be irrelevant, when it has nuclear arms, ballistic missiles, and tens of billions to play more terrorism acts around the world and against the U.S., we got to take it seriously.
Last word from Steve Forbes. Coming up next, do you think a family making nearly $500,000 should be living in public housing? Well, it's happening, and some here say it's why the government shouldn't be in the housing business to begin with.